BS3 Network.
Bring back that beat, DJ.
Indeed.
Fox 4 News. It's that Sean Rabb effect.
Yeah.
Where he wait 12 minutes before Fox 4 and news.
You think he's still on KKDA?
One guy with Crime Stoppers. You go out to catch Crime Stoppers.
Yeah, speaking of Sean Rabb, let's give a shout out to Lady J, man, who has left K104 after, what has it been, 20 years? 20 years, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened?
She said she was going to explain later, but I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
It
probably mean they wouldn't want to get a paper, right?
It's probably money. It's probably money.
It's the money.
After 20 years,
20 years should be a no.
Get taken care of, And I'm sure they've been, the ratings and whatnot has been pretty high in that time period. You'd think,
Yeah. The ratings haven't went down at all.
Yeah,
I doubt that they have. Big shout out to Tony Williams in the building. Thank you for tuning in. We got
Tony
Danielle White. We got Sam Mitchell.
Tony.
Whitney.
So one of them cover names
in the background.
I'm not gonna say what go with Tony. What's your name?
Say it.
Keisha in the building says, "Hey peeps." All right, let's get a couple of things. Couple of what's the word?
Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Things.
Something ain't right.
A couple of pertinent things to talk about.
Something ain't right, man. Hold on a second. Yeah. Say Keisha. You said Keisha in the building.
Yes.
Hey, Trap, did you hear that part? Your mic working over there? Put our names back up right quick, Ben. Let me see how they displayed today. Oh, we motherfucking A-Trap.
I got a new computer.
Paradise. Huh?
I got a new computer, man. My computer crashed.
Wow, that does sound
oh gosh.
Okay.
Wow.
Awkward.
We'll go with that.
It's been the same. Go look at last week's show.
I love it, man.
Wow.
All right, so thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. We are reviewing a powerful documentary called "Who We Are," and it's the Chronicle of racism in America. It is an amazing documentary to check it out. It's on Netflix. But I wanted to speak on one thing before we get into the show. Tomorrow we have a very special event. It is the 3rd annual BS3 Network Awards, and that will be live on our YouTube. So go to, if you haven't subscribed already, first of all, what you doing? Because you've been watching this show every week.
No doubt.
But youtube.com/BS3 Network. Starting at 7 p.m., the 3rd annual BS3 Network Awards will be live. A lot of great awards. Most of the shows will be in the building, so you can see everybody on one screen at one time. So make sure to tune in to that tomorrow. And seemed like this week was long. Like we were on last week, right? It seemed like it's been a minute.
Yeah.
It was a pretty long week.
Yeah, throwback week. Throwback Monday.
That rain last week.
Rain does that, I guess.
Yeah. But Wilkes.
I saw you walking in the rain.
Oh gosh, that video.
Hey, baby, how was you?
No, come in, sit down.
You miss me. I miss you too. I miss you so much. I followed you today.
You're right.
Stop, man.
With that alley cat coat wearing, hush puppy shoe wearing, crumb cake I saw you with.
That music
Oh,
video.
yeah, I saw you.
Yeah, I followed you today. Yeah. That's it.
Without me, without cornflakes, without the milk. In my world, you just a squirrel trying to get a nut.
Man.
Don't touch that coat.
Get your stuff, get out. Yes. Classic.
How you doing tonight, Wilkes?
I'm good. Doing all right. Doing all right.
Good.
What's she talking about? Missy,
Tony said this is Key-Man from the Eye of the Storm.
What?
Yeah,
What you talking about?
Messy is me. We
know
got Hey Family. I don't know who that is.
What's up with the Facebook users, man? They slipping,
That
man.
Click the link, man.
Click that link so we can see who you are. Raider Kev in the building. Thank you for tuning in.
What's up,
I
Kev?
see you, Raider Kev, man, getting your workout on. Keep doing it, man. Keep doing it.
Kevo?
All right. A-Trap, how you doing?
I'm good, man. You know me, man. Everything's all good.
Good. Nice watch. Doc, how you doing?
I'd like to cede my time over to the representative of Chicago and let him speak more about this change in titles and names. I'm fantastic, man. You know, it's Monday, but I don't have a case of the Mondays whatsoever.
Like AB said, business is booming, huh?
Yeah, this was we blessed. We blessed. So no complaints at all. So rain at all bad, especially when it get dumped. I mean, anytime you can make up an entire 9-month deficit in one fucking day,
right,
a 9-month deficit in one day. That tell you all. They said this is a 1,000-year rain, not a 100-year event. This is a 1,000-year rain.
I can believe
Noah. I mean, it's gonna be a whole bunch of kids named Noah in about 9 months.
Man, I can believe it. There was literally like
gonna look
crack.
like cheetahs and shit.
Yeah. Especially when that rain filling in cracks, man. I was like, wait a minute. There was a crack here yesterday. The dirt has come back together.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the 9 months. Because while the rain was filling in cracks, some other cracks was getting
forming.
Some bait from houses was
and some jawbreakers was happening. That's the inside joke we can't do. Tune in to BS3 After Dark and we'll give you the jawbreaker.
Name change. Can't rap for life.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
No
that
question.
Computer ain't so new, is it?
It is new. It's brand new.
All right, who we are. This was recommended by Doc. I didn't know what to expect.
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah, it was you.
No, I don't think it was me.
That was me because it just hit me.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't me.
And it was a random find because I nothing else was on and this popped up.
Because I was, because I ain't been this mad since Roots came out that week when I was in the 6th grade.
Don't you look at me.
And if y'all were back,
right?
Oh, you look at me.
If y'all were back in our early days, back in the day when we did Exterminate All the Brutes, this is a parallel, but like Wilk said, interviewing actual people in those situations.
And finding documentations, handwritten. I was like, wow.
He taught the hell out of this, man, as far as I'm concerned. PowerPoint and all.
Yeah. I was like,
wow. Had the little pointer, the clicker and everything.
It's like, how could you even, you would have to have conscientious stupidity to try to argue some of these facts because
and the way he do it and the way he did it, man, It's in a way that makes your confrontation look super stupid. Like the
Right.
one guy who had the Confederate flag, didn't he
Yeah.
look just like an
He
idiot?
He was-
I mean, it's like I would never, if I was this cat, man, I'd have joined Black Lives Matter that evening.
right.
Because he made you look so
He
stupid.
looked like he was about to
No
fire in the
argument,
spot.
he was
Yeah.
so calm about it. He just looked at him like, "You really?"
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like do you not hear yourself talking right now? Do you not hear the words coming out of your mouth?
Yeah,
Literally.
they're not used to being challenged in that way, man, and just challenged with just intelligence and mentality, no emotion. They can't.
I'm not raising my
take the
voice.
emotion out of it. No,
Yeah.
they lost, man.
Yeah, because I'm not. Yeah, because I'm not raising my voice. I'm not yelling.
They need noise. They need the noise to drown their stupidity.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
He looked like, man, he looked like I want to put this flag down, but I can't.
But I can't.
I
Too
can't
many
do
people
it.
watching.
He lost.
Yeah.
He looked like he
looked like somebody who has been fooled all his life, is what he
really
looked like.
does.
He looked like somebody who just figured out, I'm a fucking sheep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know how to get out of this.
Right. Yep.
We didn't land on Plymouth Rock.
Yes.
All right. So initial thoughts, Wilkes. I go to you first.
Man, I had to share it immediately with you guys when I watched it, because it was, I mean, the way it was presented in the first 10 minutes, I mean, I thought I was already 25 minutes in. But when I paused it, it was only 9 minutes and 49 seconds. I was like, wow, this is going to be heavy. This is going to be heavy. And it definitely was. But I mean, I really enjoyed, like I said, how it was presented. I mean, you've got handwritten letters. You find newspaper clippings. I mean, you've got video. I mean, everything to line up what he's saying, backing it up. And didn't feel like there was much, like too many fillers. I mean, it felt like everything that, like, hey, I'm bringing this to you straight as possible. I'm not trying to hold back.
Just the facts, man.
Yeah. If you're uncomfortable, good. I'm glad you're uncomfortable, because this is what is going on. I'm not trying to make it any more than what it is or any less. So
let me ask A-Trap real quick. Did you know this cat before, or any of y'all know this cat before, Jeffrey Robinson?
I never heard.
Is he a historian? Is he a civil rights activist? What is his deal?
Yeah. Actually, he's an attorney. Well, I'll just go right into my initial thoughts. Yeah, I was familiar with this guy. Wilkes probably didn't realize that he's heard him on Joe Madison and Karen Hunt.
Probably so. I take that back. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. So I saw this about a month ago, but about a month before Wilkes saw it, and it was just a situation to whereas people are being introduced to the truth, and people are very uncomfortable with the truth. Yeah. It's just like when you're talking to a traditional citizen. When you speak to a traditional citizen and you introduce them to their flaws, people automatically become defensive. And as you guys stated, this dude was willing to look like a damn fool just to stand up for what he believed in. And that's what it is. Can you package and sell me what you believe? Nah. What you feel? Nah. Let's just go with the truth and the facts. And that's why things like CRT, critical race theory, or cultural responsive teaching, that's what I call it, culturally responsive teaching. And when you are looking at these things and you see a man stand in front of another man and present him with nothing but facts, nothing but actual facts, and you can affirm those facts, but yet and still you are so married to your opinion that you're willing to look like the biggest damn fool in the history of the earth, knowing that this man is recording you, knowing at some point the world will see you. It's a shameful situation, and that this basically shows you it gave you this was a microcosm of the issues that we have in the United States of America today.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, man, Jeffrey Robinson, that dude, man, just because his demeanor and his delivery has become one of my favorite teachers. Period. Right. And I like the way he started in this auditorium that he's given, this lecture to, or this presentation to. He immediately disarms them by saying, slavery is not our fault. We didn't do it, but it's our shared history and shared responsibility. So you immediately disarm them. I'm not coming after you to try to blame you for anything. Right. But at the end of the day, that we're still culpable and responsible for the aftermath, so to speak. Right. So I like the way he started it, man, and he's teaching them, and he's even, being a bit sarcastic whenever he talks about certain elements and aspects of it, to where he delivers it kind of dry, but the audience has to laugh at it. And like, that's, he makes it look so stupid and so elementary, that it kind of makes you feel as a society, why the hell are we falling for this shit for so long? If you're on the other side, so to speak, So I would really be interested in what we need to do one episode, man, is maybe get some lighter skinned family members that ain't skin folk to watch this. And see, get their interpretation of it, man. See what they think about it, really.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because, like I said, this dude's delivery was just fantastic to me. So, very disarming. You know who he put me in the mind of, Ben? Clinton. Yeah, that's your uncle's first name, man.
Yeah.
Clinton Kennedy. That's who he put me in the mind of, man. And he happens to be an attorney, too, right?
Yeah.
Like I can just listen to your uncle talk about anything, man.
Yeah,
we have to get him on.
No doubt.
Yeah,
we should have got him on something like this.
Yeah, I saw this, very good. Yeah, his delivery was. It wasn't, I'm not coming at you hard. I'm just gonna give you the facts. And you're not gonna have no choice but to step back and say, wow, and reason with yourself in your own mind. That was his delivery. It wasn't, I'm not standing on the corner throwing books at you, and I'm not standing on the corner preaching to you. But I'm just gonna give you the facts, and it is what it is. It's up to you to then deal with it. I think that was like his delivery. And it was just the way it was just broken down. Each thing he went into, it was broken down in such a small amount of time. That amazed me. He went into so many different situations and
efficient
occurrences that happened.
He was efficient.
It was less than 2 hours. This was what, hour
54, I believe.
Yeah, no, he definitely, I mean, the way he broke down the amendments and the way he broke down speeches and document like short clips and backing it up and following it up with experiences and, and how he kept saying this was 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't 120 years ago. Like some of the things that were happening, most of us are that age, not that age, or around past that age.
Me and A-Trap was at the house playing with Lincoln Logs, motherfucker. This is not,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, man. But it's just one of those situations to whereas I just think people in America from all communities, they refuse to actually do research. They refuse to actually look into things of this nature. We're satisfied by being pacified by the news media. Whatever the TV says, that's what we go by. The days of Walter Cronkite and Ted Koppel and those guys are over because they were journalists.
Yeah.
Don Lemon is not a journalist. Most of these people that we see on television, they are not journalists. They are entertainment. They're entertainment anchors. So
it's a shock and amazing.
And the information is given to them. They're not going out and researching this stuff.
Right.
There's a department that person gives them the information and they say it on air.
Yeah, if you can read, you can do that job.
Yeah. Which is why they put some bullshit on teleprompter sometimes just to see if your ass will read it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
For this shock and awe, man.
Raider Kev, this is Netflix, man.
Pastor Dodd in the building. Thank you for tuning in. Good evening.
Network.
Appreciate you. All right, so yes, Jeffery Robinson, 40 years as a lawyer. And also I like the aspect that he put his family into this. The part where he said, I think you were saying, I'm lucky, or this was luck.
Yeah, this is what it looked like. Luck looks like.
Luck looks like. I thought that was powerful.
Yeah, man.
So the way he intertwined his own life into it.
Alfred ass is late, ain't it? What is wrong with him? He got a sore ankle today.
You come in when it's most comfortable,
I see.
You don't want to interrupt
him. A lush gig. Yeah, he like the real Alpha, because Alpha used to talk shit to Batman, so I guess he kind of like that.
Yeah, nah. This Alfred is
He know it.
So he's not a Pennyworth. Yeah, Smith.
Okay.
Pennyworth.
And like you said, Wilkes, right off the bat, he's in Charleston, South Carolina, with the guy with the flag, and then he immediately went to 95% was produced by slave labor, and he talked about
Right.
slaves. And so, and the comment when he said, "Yeah, they were like family," he was like, "Oh, I got a stomach ache. I'm not feeling too well. I need to."
Yeah.
I need to cut
Because
back.
he was like, oh, they, because they weren't sure of what they were going to face, so they chose to stay.
Yeah.
I'm like, man.
Yeah.
You
This is
do
where
know-
this is a cat who's a clear case of I've heard in the narrative,
Yeah.
I've heard a few lines I can glom onto and repeat.
Right.
And I'm gonna hold on to those 2 or 3 lines.
Yeah,
And anytime
right.
I'm challenged, I gotta throw this out.
Right.
Because the shit sound good.
Yeah. He was
man.
coach.
Yeah, it's just sad commentary, man. And this is why like cultural response of teaching is being combated, because at that point you have to face your ills. You have to face the things that you've done to a nation of people, meaning the first nation, the first documented nation, the people who are called Indians, the Native American or the indigenous North American people. Then you had to deal with the people who were brought here in chains. And at that point you owe. And when you owe, you don't want to pay, because then you have to admit you're wrong. When you owe, you admit you're wrong. When you admit you're wrong, you're forced to pay restitution. Pay restitution, you bankrupt the country. You in this criminal settler enterprise called the United States of America at that point, and they know it.
And just what kind of piggybacking off what H-Rap just said, when he was talking to that gentleman with the flag, that guy was talking as if he knows that he doesn't have much of a culture to speak of. Your culture was pretty much tyrannic. So it's like you pretty much had these ancestors that established these places by force. Then it's like, and like he said, how are you going to get that? Who was going to do the work if they were treated like family? If I owned you, would you appreciate me owning you? You're not going to do the work because you don't want to do the work.
Right.
That's how we got, it's like, that's how the nation got to that point. You don't want to pick your own money. You don't want to pick your own hard work. And like he said, when you hold a ball of cotton in your hand, and he's talking about billions of pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Hey, and I got news for you, man. I got my family, my mama picked cotton. Okay.
Yeah.
Period. And when she used to tell me what they had to do before they could go, how much they had to do before they could go. Even at an early age, I was thinking to myself, that'll take forever trying to get some cotton. That shit don't weigh nothing.
Exactly. And my grandmother, we had a relative that taught my grandmother as a kid how to pick cotton. But at that point, of course, it was sharecropping at that point. But still, it was to the point you were learning how to pick. And that stuff was rough.
Yeah.
It was not all nice.
Your fingers up. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't all nice and pretty. Yeah. I was like, man, we had a piece of cotton on the counter years ago, but that was pulled from a field, and it had all kinds of stems and stickers on it and everything. And it was actually it wasn't even really white. It was kind of a dingy, kind of a brownish.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. So
if you didn't, you might not have saw my entryway when y'all were here a few weeks ago, but I actually have a cotton kind of little growth kind of thing coming out of like on these benches and stuff like. There you go. Right as you come in to the right, and I got it specifically. For that reminder, so to speak.
Right. No, absolutely. I wouldn't mind owning a piece again because growing up, I always see that, and it's like, man, that's not what the history book tell you, because that's not what it looked like. Right. It's like you said, they didn't think about that. Like, this stuff is light. You talking about 1 billion pounds?
Yeah. It's not. When you think of a cotton ball, y'all know you get a cotton ball to put in your ear when you got an earache. Which I don't know if we do that, but
you didn't ask no question though, because if you did, Mama Sutters would have whooped that ass. Hey, I said leave that cotton in your ear,
right?
and shout out to my parents. I'm not sure which one, maybe both. I said I love the discussion. With cable news, you can tune into whatever network sports you believe.
That's right.
Oh, absolutely.
And when we talk about those terms that were used towards us, like lazy, I say this all the time: lazy, savages. That's who those people were during that time. Lazy. You don't want to do it, but you want somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
And then when they're
Please don't
free,
talk to me about lazy.
you get mad and say, "Oh, you can't be free. I need you to still work for me for free."
Please don't talk to me about lazy.
Stop.
Please stop.
He goes beyond what industry my family to Louisiana helped
build Tabasco
company by force.
Yeah.
Sadly, they still pick cotton in the Mississippi Delta. My sister and I went to the cotton field when I was 8. She was 12. We did it for 2 days until my dad cussed my mama out.
Wow.
I don't know what happened there. I figured, right, okay, if you good, we can decipher. And so immediately from that, he went into Darren Martin, who was a law student, mind you, also a former Obama staffer that was moving in to his own apartment and was harassed by not one.
And I never heard that story.
Not 3. I saw LeBron, don't I, when he was with the Heat. Not 4. 6. Well, 6 different police officers.
6.
In his hallway. And he's like, what is this?
Yeah, and he said somebody called, said he possibly had a weapon on him.
Like, and you see one of them with this had a smile on his face the whole time, like he thought the shit was funny.
Right, yeah.
You know,
and there was one in street clothes. Like you got a detective. You got a detective.
Oh no! That's the game too. Think about how many of these incidents have happened by off-duty police officers.
Right.
This has been task force in a lot of instances on the northern part of the country. They have dress down days as well. And they just ride around in unmarked cars. And they call, in the city of Chicago, they call them the jump out boys.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, so they could have just been on duty cops in jeans to make it, to be unmarked.
Yeah.
And then what we really need to start, what we need as a community, what we need to focus on is these things right here. When you call the police on a black man, you are really attempting to murder him.
Yeah, hey,
exactly.
And then when you
especially when you say stuff like that, when you sensationalize it, or flat out lie, he's got a weapon, or he's threatening me, or whatever the case may be. You're hyping them up. You're getting their adrenaline jumping before they even get there.
Yeah, a prime example. This just happened recently. T.O. If that wasn't T.O., chances are he would have been shot to dead.
Oh, yeah.
So this stuff happens every day.
How about this? New York City and those parts of the state, like Massachusetts. This is what I like about it. This cat called out Massachusetts. He's like, this didn't happen in such and such and such. This was Massachusetts who started this. Right. And then he came back at New York a little later too and said, this is New York City. New York City was trying to play both sides, motherfucker. They were trying to succeed, because they knew shit, we can sail to the Southampton,
we can be
so
in the middle.
Telling them, so I'm like, wow, they ain't getting no passes this time. A lot of times you'll try to give northern states passes for being all on the right side of history. And that ain't the case.
Yeah. He's like, no, we can. He's like, wait a minute. We can play both sides. We can be the middleman. And, but no, you're right. New York was getting it too. I was like, no, y'all getting all this. You getting all this smoke.
That's equal opportunity. He wasn't pick and choosing. He dived into everything.
Yeah, because
he just followed the facts. Just like a good detective would do. Let the fact. I'm not after nobody. I'm after the truth. And if the truth colors you.
Yeah. That's it.
And see, that's the thing, man. People always, you hear about abolitionists. Abolitionists, just because you're abolitionist does not mean that you're anti-slavery. Yeah, that means you are being undercut by slavery. So you want everybody to be working for a wage so you can get even more money. Right. If a slave is making $1 a day, you want 3. A black person is, if a black or formerly enslaved person is making $1 a day, you are going to, as a white man, ask for 3. Because he's not even human. He's subhuman, and you're paying him a wage. That's why a lot of abolitionists were championing emancipating Africans, because if you are paying them, you're forced to pay us. And if you're not paying them, you don't have to pay, because they can come in and do what I'm doing for free. And all they have to do is house and feed them. But I am struggling. So therefore, I need that person free. I mean, some of the most racism I've ever faced in my life is right here in Cook County, Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
No.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And then it goes directly into the Terrence Crutcher, which just the way that we are killed just in the street. I mean, there's endless amount of stories. You just let him lay there. Don't respect him at all. Don't respect who he was. And I appreciate how they went into the story and he interviewed his sister. And you said he was she's a
twin sister. She's a PhD and she has a Terrence Crutcher organization to combat incidences like this, because things like this must be brought to light. This is why you must engage. You must get involved. You must learn the laws of the land. And people continue to just go through the motions. If you continue to go through the motions, this will show up at your door. It showed up at my door already.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And one thing I appreciate about this documentary as well is that he made sure to pinpoint the Andrew Jacksons. He made sure to pinpoint all of those people that are on money, those people that have statues. Like, what's the backstory? How did they get this statue? How did they get on the $20 bill? And that's the part that I appreciated. And I mean, when it was over, I don't know about y'all, but I was like, man, it could have been. I would have watched if it was 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, he honestly, he probably has enough information, as they say, left on the cutting floor that he just had to pack within this hour and 52 minutes. But I can't even imagine how much he did not expound on and what he did not continue to really just kind of dissect. I mean, yeah, no, I even if each episode, if it was 10 episodes or whatever the case was, like I would have watched it, because it was just, I could not stop watching it. And then when you got to the war on drugs and how that's another rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh man, it was just so much, and then we don't want to talk about I know I'm getting ahead of things, but the national anthem, how they take a whole line out of the national anthem. But then yet you want to tell me about disrespecting the flag? Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
stop.
and I can't unknow that determined. I can't unknow the
Right.
I can't unknow the stanza.
Yeah.
So to stand up for any part of it,
You can't
just because you cut out the third part.
Yeah. You can't rewrite that, man. You can't erase that from your
The national anthem was not for us. It was not written for us in mind. It was written.
It was written by somebody who owned the slaves and a bunch of them.
Exactly.
Yes,
yeah, man. It shows you the definite tyranny and insult that's thrust upon our community on a regular basis, and we just sit back and we allow it, and it's a sad commentary. We accept it. We oh man, see, it's gonna get better. It's not gonna get better via osmosis. We're not gonna hope this out of existence.
Yeah. You've got to keep having these kind of conversations, but when you come to the table, you've got to be willing to accept that, hey, this is gonna sting a little bit. It's gonna sting a lot of bit.
Oh yeah.
But you've got to understand this is the only way you're gonna face it and try to fix it. Exactly. And try to work toward or move forward or something. Whatever you're trying to do to it, you're not gonna just brush it over and we're just gonna keep recycling clips and documentaries.
You know what's tripped out? This is the second documentary that I found out that Hollywood slapped us in the face in 1992 with the movie Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump's grandfather was a Klansman, right? Mm-hmm. And they also stole the story of Dick Gregory and Forrest Gump as well. Remember,
they stole it?
Yeah. Remember we did the Dick Gregory documentary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we found out that Dick Gregory ran across country.
Oh,
At the end of it, Forrest Gump had a beard, just like Dick Gregory.
Yeah. You're right.
It's the subtle insults that make you want to. It makes your stomach turn. Like the beginning of the documentary, my man said, "I gotta go because I'm sick." And as I'm watching this, I'm looking at Vernon Forrest, and like he said, these statues and these things were created by a group called the Daughters of the Confederacy, and we talking about 1940. 1940.
Right. Yeah, he said these weren't erected like in the 1800s. He said these were erected like in the 50s and 40.
Yeah. Like I remember listening to this, and he mentioned the 20th of December 1947. The only reason that makes sense to me, the only reason that sticks out to you, because my mother was born on the 13th, same year. 7 days before my mother was here. 7 days later, I mean, my mother's here. 7 days later, you start madness, and and then you just realize how much you can reach out and touch this nonsense.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Even with the Edmund Pettus Bridge that they were talking about, like he was trying to get the name changed, and it's just like, nah.
Yeah, we gotta continue to honor these people for what they did for that part of the country.
Me and Ben know Stone Mountain. Stone Mountain is a Confederate.
It's got the Klan. It's got 3 Confederate and Klan members on the card to the side of it.
Card to the side of the wall, and nobody says anything about it.
That used to be a meeting ground for the Klan.
Yeah.
Might be still is. I don't know.
Yeah, they there now.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we'll touch on the slave trade and the guy that was being interviewed in that, I guess, museum. So we'll be right back.
What do you get when you watch or listen to the Life Happens podcast? Well, I'll let them tell you.
Kim and I are both ministers of the gospel, and what Life Happens podcast is a beautiful balance by simply taking our spirituality with real life and merging it together to create a beautiful balance. And that's what we do.
BS3 Network proudly presents Life Happens podcast, where Christianity and life intersect. Live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central.
Another great job by Cole Johnson.
Killing these commercials, these ads, bro. Killing them.
Killing them.
Yeah, he just sent one this weekend for Marriage is Real that I got to get over to you.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Oh, man.
So this is my dad. He says, my grandfather did sharecropping with cotton and tobacco field in Kingstree, South Carolina. There were some black folks that were educated enough to actually manipulate the system to own property that's still in the country. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Make it work for you.
And I remember we went when I was probably 10. I don't know, you might have to put in the age I was, Pops, on that. But we went to South Carolina and we seen the cotton fields that were there. So there's a lot. South Carolina, North Carolina, all in that area. Tobacco.
It's probably not even. I can't imagine. It's probably nowhere close to South Carolina cotton field, tobacco field. But supposedly on 45, when you go to Houston, I think that's a little outside of Ennis or Palmer. There's a cotton field.
You don't have to go that far.
Well, that's on where I've seen it. But
yeah, from here, you don't have to go that far.
Yeah, well, that's just when I'm traveling.
Let's deal some in Terrell. Let's deal some Sherman area, buying them off in there and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I just noticed it as a kid when I was going to Houston.
Yeah, I can have you if you want to be picking some cotton by 7:30 in the morning. I can have you in some places if that's
yeah. Because Walmart right up the street.
It ain't that far. They just got machines that do the shit now.
The aspect where they talked about the names, how they were changed every time they were sold. That
that's something, man.
Yeah,
right there. Man.
Name change every time.
That's something.
I did not know that. Did y'all know that?
No.
Yeah, I knew it.
I have to say once again that wasn't.
It makes sense. It makes sense, right? Because if they're my property, you're gonna give them my name. I don't want them to still be Sutters if it's just dog plantation.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
but see,
understand the
yeah,
thought
even
process,
before
but
then,
I
he
didn't
said
understand the gravity of it because a name is big,
Yeah.
right?
And even before then, didn't he say it took a while before they started putting the last name on names?
1890.
18 now, okay, because
The census.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I guess we should have known because Toby tried to tell us. I mean, Kunta Kinte
Sorry,
tried
Lamar.
to tell us that they, they change the names and shit.
Yeah. It's a good name. Say it.
Yeah, and then and when they start getting those names, that's the beauty, that's the genius in the community and the people in the community.
The Wilkes, man, get it.
Read Rainbow.
This Wilkes, man.
But that's why you got names like Freeman and Black and White and
Right.
things of that nature, and Brown.
Right.
Because you try to disassociate yourself with that.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, another part that hurt when they talked about the shackles, which they had shackles for adults. I mean, that guy was laying it all out there. And shackles for adults and kids. Everybody was shackled.
Yeah.
I didn't
and visiting a couple of places, in my travels, I've had I don't know that I'd call it a pleasure, but I've been able to experience some of those.
Yeah.
The neck braces and some of the feet shackle and some of the punishment tools that they use, man. And I mean, to say barbaric is an understatement. It does not do it justice, man. It is. Yeah. I mean, it is ridiculous, man. Some of the tactics and tools they use which is why, like on some of these sets, one of the movies we reviewed, it didn't get a great review from us, but they used this tool. It may have been where they had her sitting out in front of the house for a long time and stuff like that. But they didn't have to make up these props. They can go find these things that they can use for these movies and stuff like that. They legit authentic stuff,
Right.
That's still out there. Yeah, maybe.
Antebellum, she was in that box.
Antebellum, because they had the neck brace on her, and they had the neck brace on the brother, so he made noise every time he moved.
Yeah, that ain't. Yeah.
This again. It's not like that we needed it, but those tools debunk that initial guy's conversation.
Yeah, we treat them like family.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Don't do that to family.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
And family's not trying to get away from you like that, unless it's after Thanksgiving and everybody asks you to clean up.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you put raisins in. Well, never mind. Never mind.
Raisins in your potato salad.
Yeah, right.
And when we go back to
after I saw my mama putting raisins in her biscuits, I was like,
not my mama biscuits.
I let it ride.
When we go back to exterminate all the brutes, when they were chopping off thumbs, is that what they were doing?
Yeah.
And they would have you watch.
Yeah.
You don't.
Or have you do it.
Have you do it? Yeah. Have you do it? So look
at the back of your Levi jeans.
Yeah.
This is an example of them ripping a human being apart.
Yeah. They cut you in the back, man. That label.
There's a place in Texas where you can go experience picking cotton like that. Something to be remembered.
I'm good.
From black folks. Yeah.
I'm good.
No, I just go to Walmart aisle 5, man.
Right. I just go put on some new drawers.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah, I enjoy actually listening to older people talk about some of the experiences they had, because it gives me a new appreciation for where I am individually and where we are collectively.
Right.
And if anything, it gives me motivation to keep pushing, because if you know where some of our folks came from, man, and know where we at, and sometimes we as people, man, at the end of the day, we're some spoiled brats too. We really are. And so, like, for instance, in this documentary, when they talked about during the bus boycott, these black women, man, getting up at 4:00 in the morning to walk to work, to be maids and cooks and nannies and whatever in their houses, and then walking back just so they can support the bus boycott and getting home at 7, 8 o'clock at night and still having to, take care of their family and stuff like that, man. Think about that the next time your ass finna call in sick for some bullshit. Right. You know what I'm saying, man? Yeah. You know what I mean? Seriously.
I'm still calling in sick, but I am gonna think about it.
Huh?
I'm still calling in sick, but I am gonna think about it.
Think about some of the things that we complain about.
Right.
At the end of the day.
But like we said we were watching. Well, I just watching a throwback. That's what we said. Your mom would cook enough food for 2 days, because if you knew something like that was calling for activism and for action, you made sure the kids at home, the oldest child, or hell, they wasn't even really that old, you had food, because guess what? I'm not getting home right away. I need to go stand up for something real quick.
Yeah.
But I made sure that you're gonna have some in the kitchen. So yeah, no, absolutely. I hear Doc 100.
Yeah, the stories 100. Of my grandmother, man, who my mama, when she tell me, man, think about this, man. Your mama sitting there talking to you, and she tell me, they call their mama Madea, even though that was their mama. They called her Madea, and she goes, I ain't never seen Madea fix herself a plate. She didn't fix her a plate whenever she fed the kids. She ate off of their plates. If anybody left anything, she just picked if it was a little, chicken, a little meat left on that chicken bone, or a little piece of cornbread left. That's what she ate, man.
Right.
And you think I can sit there and listen to that shit, man, and not be moved by that?
Yeah, no, that's big. That's big.
And I got food that I'm throwing away and giving to my damn housekeeper so it don't go bad.
Right. Right.
And my grandmother, who I never got to meet, didn't even get to fix her own plate.
Right.
The next time you catch me being a punk about any damn thing, if y'all don't check me, y'all out of order. Y'all should be like, absolutely. Boy, do you know where you come? Do you know what
you're about that name thing? No, I'm just
it's ridiculous, man. Where we done come from, absolutely. Man, and we got the nerve,
right?
Not be grateful.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
We're gonna walk around like somebody owe us something.
And then we pass that down to our kids that not being grateful. That's
like Ben has said many times. We make it work.
Ben ain't gonna get to sleep tonight if she don't find out about these damn jeans, man. Tell her what the deal is, H-Rap.
Erica. Well, the Levi jeans, I don't know, they may have amended it at this point, but the Levi jeans used to be two plow horses pulling the jeans into different directions, which is a metaphoric way of showing you what they used to do to people who attempted to run away from enslavement. They literally came up with a diagnosis called dracophobia, which means a person who wanted to run away from enslavement. And what they would do is gather all the other enslaved Africans and tie one horse to one leg and arm, the other horse to the other leg and arm, and slap the horses on the behind. They would take off, split the man in half. The Levi jeans the logo used to be representation of a pair of pants that was strong enough to hold up two plow horses. But we all know metaphorically they were showing you what they used to do to people.
Yeah. And there's a ton of products, food products,
easy.
Clothing, household products that would have some shit on it that if you really paid attention to it, because they know we ain't sitting around looking at no damn labels on shit like that, to try to see what they depicted. But if you knew half the products out there and what they represented.
Yeah, it is a sad commentary the things that we celebrate and we patronize, which that's why I talk about that.
Go throw being 501s away right now, Eric. I know that's what you're getting ready to do.
Buddy Lee testing.
I ain't got no 501s.
503s then. Hell, I don't know what you
got.
Them tough skins. What they label? I bet you know that.
The Walmart special Levi's. I don't know
jeans. Those Levi's, those Guess, those Jabot,
not these.
Now I want to kick it to Wilkes because you mentioned this early on. The thumb and the fingerprints on the buildings in South Carolina.
Yeah, it's kind of it's so weird because I've seen buildings like that down in Terrell, and even a church that was built years ago in our family, which is still there. But when he was, and it kind of dawned on me, because when you see those, even downtown in some of those areas, but when you see those prints and you see those holes in the brick and the mortar, it's like he said, it's almost, well, it's not almost, they're pretty much saying, hey, I was here, like I helped establish this. Like this cobblestone street, like we built this, we made this. You know, it's like don't forget, like this is a message. Yeah, no, it blew my mind, because it's like, man, I've seen some of those markings, like I've seen those. Even, you know, it's kind of like, it's just like, wow, so that's what that is. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm experiencing. Mind blowing, man. I was
you cannot erase it. As much as you want to, as much as you want to try, you cannot erase it.
Right.
Well, another thing, it shocked me. It shocked me that he didn't mention this. Is that those also are maps?
Oh yeah, yes.
Those also are maps. You think, like you say, you know, if you are an enslaved African,
it was a way of
directing you
to safety. Yeah,
16 bricks down the wall, you make it right after the 15th brick. You know, it's something in the ground to see people. See, look,
and it had to be. It couldn't be obvious to where they would
be obvious.
The arrow or something.
And then see what see, this is the part in which you must know your history, right? And when you know your history, you realize that you find out that Africans, people like Mansa Musa, came over here. Africa is like, that's why you see that map. Let me back map a little bit. That's why you see the map that you see today of the world. And Africa looks like it's the same size as South America. But the honest to God truth is, when you in West Africa, the fastest way to get to America is Maine. That's why they all always ended up in Maine. So if you leave in Africa, you go to Maine. That's the fastest trip. You would think Florida, right? But no, it's Maine. That's how big the land mass is. So when you had people over here for literally hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, excuse me, tens of thousands of years, right? So you got people over here 10,000 years ago, and you've been mentally trained to believe that Harriet Tubman is just this way out super lady who just figured it out. No, that's ancestral teachings to teach you how to get from pillar to post to get to freedom. And even now, just think, we mentioned Wilkes. I bet you when I say what I say, Wilkes, it didn't even cross your mind. This is when, you know, you and me speak about epigenetics on a regular basis, right? Epigenetics is things that we unintentionally pass down without even knowing. Yeah. If you get a group of children tomorrow, lay out a piece of concrete, what's the first thing they do? Pow! I'm a document I was here. That's right.
They're gonna market. They're gonna market to say, they're gonna market.
I was here. You know, graffiti. Yeah. I was here. You know, you watch something simple as the movie B Street. Ramon was making sure when you come to the Bronx, you gonna know Ramon. I mean, hey, I remember at one point I worked for the city train here. You know, I spent, you know, I'm walking through when they train you walking through the subway of Chicago, and I'm walking through the subway, and I started laughing, and I'm looking up. And everybody was like, hey, man, what you laughing about? I'm like, nothing. And my man, Chris Reinhardt, he supports the show. Chris Reinhardt say, B, what you laughing at? I say, hey, man, remember that thing that said hip hop? He was like, yeah. I said, I wrote that down here. Everybody was wondering why I was so comfortable. I'm like, because I used to run down here illegally.
Right.
So when you said that, Wilkes, last week when you mentioned it, it struck a chord. I'm like,
Yeah,
so
it's new.
I didn't invent graffiti. Graffiti and glyphs are part. And then look, take it back 5,000 years when those damn pyramids in Giza was built. Mm-hmm. Those same etchings on the pyramids in Giza are in South America, they're in Central America, and they're in Mexico.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
It's allegedly a pyramid.
Yeah, those symbols look more like us than them.
Yeah,
indeed.
True.
Max.
They had lips like men on them. They ain't look just like none.
Like them Soul Train Award lips.
Shout out to Theodore, aka
Blue Streak Freak,
in the building. Says so
one
much
of the
knowledge on
nominees for Supporter of the Year of BS3 Network.
Yes.
How about that?
We got a couple of those in the building. Keisha was also nominated.
Yeah, that's right.
So we appreciate
Thursday. Let's go ahead and give a quick shout out. Thursday at 8:30. Perspective, produced
it's
by
on the
yours
schedule.
truly and BS3. Will be out on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time.
Directly after Elevate Podcast.
Yeah.
So we got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Elevate get on the run. So we got to wrap it up. But the part where it talked about the slave ships and the names of the slave ships,
right?
That was another part that was just like destiny.
Yeah, man.
Hope, like
yeah.
hopeful.
Desire.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But that ain't nothing new because we'll take some military.
The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria boats and houses.
Hey man, stick to restoration.
Dropping them bars, baby.
But I mean, things like this, man. This is why I really like history, because it teaches you things that you never would have known. Like I'm gonna give y'all a piece of history that 99% of the people that walk the face of the country don't know. George Washington had to sanction the war, the Revolutionary War. He had to get permission from a group of black people called the Moors.
Yes.
And they bankrolled the Revolutionary War. So you remember a few months ago we did a documentary, and I was like, hey, people don't give Haitians enough credit for initiating a Louisiana Purchase by kicking Napoleon in his behind, right? Exactly. We also don't give the Moors, which is not evidence of a hue, right? But it is a piece of a boat that guides the boat. It's the Moor. That's how you guide it. That's why the people who ran the seas are called Moors, and those are the people from Northern Africa. And I did a video last week on my show to identify that. See, these are the things. See, this is why, again, culturally responsive teaching. That's why it's so paramount, because as Doc is going to give us a surprise in a second, but Doc empowered himself today. He didn't even tell us what it was, but as Doc was speaking, he felt like he was, and not in a bad way, he was roostering about when he was getting this information today at 7:30, because it was like it empowered him. Yeah. And this is why
that affirmation, man.
It hits, man. This is why
it's kind of like what Doc. Not to cut you, I'm sorry.
No,
it's kind of like what Doc said It's kind of like what Doc said a few weeks ago. Until you speak something and you hear yourself saying it,
no doubt,
it will trigger all kinds of thoughts and like, dang, like how long have I been on this earth and I didn't notice that? And it took today for me saying that out loud. Finally, at this moment, like what took so long? But it's not that you need to know what took so long. You just need to know when the moment was right for you to hear you saying that, because I need your mind.
Not like Pastor Dow trying to give you a hint.
Nah, I'll tell y'all when the show go off. I'll tell y'all.
Wow.
But I think also the aspect he was talking about throughout this entire documentary is how these things are not being taught in school.
No.
They're being pulled out, and slavery was just a small occurrence. And again, we've talked about this. That's why it's our responsibility to teach our kids, say, no, this is what it was. And it was ugly.
Right.
It was ugly. It was brutal. It was inhumane. It was savage. It was all of those terms, but you need to know.
Yeah.
And that's
what's disappointing. Our good brother Tyler Perry saying he's not going to teach his children race. I get it, because race is a social construct. It's not real.
Thank you, Charles Darwin.
Pope Julius created race in 1514 when he sanctioned the first enslaved African. So that's when race came about. It used to just be he's from Niger, he's from Greece, he's from Spain. And Pope Julius said these people he dehumanized Africans, and that's when you became a person, you know.
Yeah, and religion used to be what set off wars, you know,
Yeah.
Catholics versus Protestants and
Pope
bullshit
Julius.
like that.
Pope Julius. Yeah. I mean, because when you go to Ireland, right? They ain't doing that. That's why the Irish. See, people don't like. Again, when you don't know your history, you don't know the history of the world. You don't understand why Irish didn't become white until 1977. That's why they used to have signs: no Irish, no N-words, no Jews, no dogs in front of restaurants, right? Because they have never taken down the Black Madonna in Ireland to this very day. You go to pubs in Ireland and you look up and they have homage being paid to our culture, and we don't know it, but they know it. You know what I mean? Right. And I'm gonna speak about imagery. I will get on that.
Some of the friendliest people I met in New York City were some people visiting New York from Ireland, and we were on a tour together. And when I say them jokers were so friendly, it wasn't even funny, man.
Because they understand the oppression of the people on the continent of Eurasia. Because I'm not calling it Europe.
That's why when I see things like it, you know, I was watching the show on Netflix. It's a whatever show just to pass time, but it's about the rise of England, and it's like, but this is exactly what you're doing as a crusader. You're forcing your thoughts of how your religion is. The Crusades were bloody. You're literally forcing the word of God on people by killing them and calling them pagans and casting them out.
Watch this, Wilkes. And those crusaders today are evangelical Christians. I'm through talking.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So check it out. So this is what, the third documentary where they made a statement similar to this. He who controls the past controls the future.
Yep.
Right. So they made this again and again. Think about what's being taught in schools and what our country admits to and doesn't admit to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So again, is our plight, are we spending enough time on the correction of the past? In other words, that narrative, are we spending enough time? Is that how they're controlling the future still to this day? Because they're telling the story the way they want to tell it.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way, dog. I mean, I know your question was rhetorical, but look at it this way. Look at it this way, bro. When we are listening to the lion hunter tell the story of the lion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The lion hunter is saying, see, this is how lions get down. And you know, you don't know that. How you know?
Right.
You know, and we are such a communal and communal people and clan word. You know, we're clan. You know, like my favorite person in history, Kwame Ture. He's commonly known as Stokely Carmichael. It's family. It's family unit. It's clan, it's culture, it's community, right? That's the way we're cycled, like kente cloth. It is the Ashanti tribe taking over a tapestry tribe. This tribe had nothing to do with war. All they did was they were tailors,
fabrics and clothes. Yep.
And then they said, we don't know y'all language, y'all don't know our language, but you're gonna take our flag and your flag and put it together. Now we have kente cloth, right? We're genetically predisposed to meld. When you look at the same the Ashanti tribe, one of the greatest warrior tribes on the continent, and the Zulu tribe, the Ashantis in North Sub-Saharan Africa, the Zulu nation is in South Africa, right? But they both have this as a mean of war. If the Dawkins and the Williams get into it, if the Dawkins win in this battle, they create a path so the Williams can retreat. So then they can send somebody over there. It's not for destruction. And this is why you have
just established dominance. It's really like some certain animals in the wild. They're not fighting to kill. They fighting to establish dominance.
Exactly. And see, that's why you have that. Again, this is back. I told that story to show this. You have people who, Africans enslaved other Africans. No. Chattel slavery in America and slavery on the continent are two totally different things. And for those who don't understand this, the very first story in the Bible that I know of is Joseph. I was taught Joseph before I was taught Adam and Eve. I learned that, right?
Yeah.
Joseph went from a dude thrown into a ditch, with his beautiful jacket, put into incarceration, and then put into slavery, and he became king. Now, until you show me where Kunta Kinte and Chicken George and one of those dudes became the massa, don't tell me about chattel slavery versus slavery on the continent. And this is why the history is important, because when you find out, if we'd have been left to our own devices on the continent, it would be one nation on that continent, not 52 different countries, not 2,800 different dialects. It would be one nation. And then you would have seen a totally different history we see today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and especially with the northern parts of Africa. I mean, you have a lot of Afghanistan influence, Muslim influence.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
they have literally removed blackness from northern Africa. Morocco is Muslim.
Morocco,
Morocco is Muslim. Okay,
and Egypt is just kind of hanging on, but
Egyptians don't even want to admit that they are African at this point.
You would think Egypt was its own continent, its own little space.
And then, like, this just show you how insulting when you let somebody else dictate how the world looks to you. Looking for employment, you fill in an application, they ask you your culture, right? White,
black,
whatever. It says Egyptian, white, in parentheses next to it now.
Oh, really?
Yes. Go to Indeed.com right now. Anybody challenge me? Indeed.com, LinkedIn, or wherever you fill out your applications for employment. There's Egyptian, and in parentheses it says white. Even Afghanistan people, Iraqi, Persian people, they have white next to them, but they're pushing back. They're like, no, we ain't white.
Yeah, like not even. Stop. Stop.
All right, I wanted to for the sake of time, because we could definitely do a part two.
Man.
No, you good. We could definitely do a part two, but I wanted to point out a couple of things and a couple of names. It talked about how there 12 presidents owned slave people. I didn't know the number was that high. 12. It talked about Eric Gardner. We know who he was. It also talked about New York in 1711 to 1762. It was a slave market where you could rent out slaves for the day.
That when I heard that, which I've never watched the entire movie, but that put 12 years a slave into more perspective, because it was like you're walking around a free man, but you have people looking to pretty much it's trafficking. It's human trafficking.
Yeah, I could only imagine how many unwritten stories or untold stories there are just like that, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the second I saw that movie, I thought to myself, shit, I bet that was happening all over the place.
And then, like you said, and then we talked about name changing. So nobody knew who he was and where he was. I mean, oh man.
You know what? It's this book. I've been wanting to tell y'all about this book literally for a year. I cannot think of this book. I read this book right before we started this show, right? And the book entails how me, you, us four, we're in class. And people who were bounty hunters will come in our class. And we're not talking about high school. There wasn't no high school then. It was just you learn how to read and write, and then you hit the streets. We're in class, 8, 9-year-old young men, and they would come in here and go, you, Ivan, let's go. And next thing you know, Ivan will wake up in Virginia.
Wow.
So this isn't, again.
That's what I was saying a few months ago. It's like we were talking about something, and I can't remember now, but it's like we literally have ancestors that lived in a world that had no defense, that had nobody to back them up or stand up for them. You literally live in a world where men on horses could come to your house, men in pickup trucks to come to your house and drag you out in the middle of the night and go hang you from the nearest tree, judge and executioner.
I want to correct that a little bit, Wilkes. Because see, that's the narrative, and I'm not saying you're saying anything wrong.
Yeah, right.
That's the narrative that I want to do away with. Because when you read the book, that nonviolent stuff will get you killed, and how the civil rights movement was started by people who were licking shots back.
Oh yeah,
you're
absolutely.
right. When you read what's her name, Rosa Parks, I want to call her Ida B. Wells so bad. When you read Rosa Parks' autobiography, do you know the very first chapter starts off Rosa saying, and my grandfather, she lived in the house with her grandfather. I'm paraphrase. She lived in the house with her grandfather. Anytime the clan get riled up, her grandfather wasn't going to bed. He sat on his front porch, 45s on his lap, and a Winchester rifle, and said, if they come up in here, I'm gonna kill them. Rosa, who we've been taught, they I call it this is not a real word. They Jesusized Rosa and Martin King.
Yeah.
And what I mean by Jesusized is
like
Jesus,
they weren't confrontational.
Right. Jesus will put them paws on you if you pulled it. And Rosa said in her book that she wouldn't go to bed that night. She said she would sit right next to her grandfather. Guess why she would do that? Because she wanted, if they came in there, she wanted to see her grandfather kill them. So
absolutely.
I don't want, even though you're telling the honest to God truth, I just don't want to continue to put
I don't want to act like I don't want to act like
they were just taking it. Yeah.
And they came in deep. I mean, you were outnumbered, so you could only fight so much.
I got an elder in my life. His name is Samuel Jackson. He just moved back down to Mississippi. I was trying to get him on my show real bad because Samuel Jackson told me that his father used to shoot white people off their property as a young man, and at some point they caught him slipping and they tarred and feathered him.
So they did what to him?
They tarred and feathered him.
Oh,
poured tar on him and feathered him.
Hot tar.
Tar. Yeah. It wasn't no bomb pop.
Right.
we got a little less than 20 minutes left, and I want to touch on the part that has some association with the history of my family. So my bonus dad, I don't like calling him stepdad because the only thing he did was step up, step in, and and do what he needed to do, right?
Step forward.
But he was from, so when his Greenwood part came up, Greenwood Tulsa situation, because they touched on that here and talked about how they actually rented planes and was dropping basically Molotov cocktails from the planes or whatever. And so I thought to him, wait a minute, why have I never asked him about Tulsa? Because he grew up in Tulsa. So I called him and I said, hey, I'm checking this documentary out, and I never asked you the impact on Greenwood when you was a kid. You grew up. What's the deal? Have you ever seen those steps to nowhere? Have you been in a neighborhood? He goes, yeah. He goes, I said, and I never made the connection. He goes, let me help you further make the connection. He goes, how many times have I told you Greenwood, Archer, and Pine? Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. He goes, we talked in the context of music, and it never made the connection. He goes, that's how the Gap Band was formed, but that Greenwood they're talking about is the Greenwood District. And I'm like, yeah, dog. I said, so how far was Mama's at, which is what we call his mama, how far was her house from that area? He goes, about 5 miles or so. So of course I pulled up the map right away, and those streets, Peoria, Cincinnati, First Street, all those streets that I've been on around as a kid, I had no idea, And so once we got through talking about it, and he was telling me, all the stuff, he says, he goes, and one of the things, he goes, I got news for you. He goes, I was pissed off at a young age, like late teens, which is what brought him to Dallas eventually, right? He goes, I was a hothead for a reason. He goes, do you know that they never taught us anything about Greenwood in school at all? It wasn't even a mention. Wasn't even a mention in school.
Nobody went to jail.
He says, I didn't have to tell him. He goes, I didn't know anything about that until I was an adult myself, and I found out about it, And so, anyway, so we were talking about it, and so I was like, man, I had no idea. And he goes, it's right around the corner from where we stay, So again, the whitewashing of history, man, is just it's sad. But I told him, I said, look, something I ain't never told you before. I said, don't take any offense to this. I said, but I said, man, I've always felt anytime I was in Tulsa, I felt a heaviness. This was as a kid where I had no way of knowing anything. but it
Absolutely.
just felt heavy in that
Yeah.
city, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, I got news for you. He goes, I've always called it depressing, and he goes, it's one of the reasons why I moved to Dallas, he goes, because it was too heavy for me,
Yeah.
And he goes, and I don't know that I was fully aware of what were the causes and effects and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought that was super, super interesting for somebody to be in the middle of it.
Right.
And some of the, like I said, I done heard him talk about some of the racial things and stuff like that over the years. But again, I'm not making a connection, between the two and how close in proximity. So, his mom always did relatively well from a financial standpoint. She was in the medical industry and stuff like that. So I'm just thinking to myself that she had to be staying next to some either culprits of the Greenwood or descendants, offspring of the Greenwood people, whatever, right? And I'm talking about on both sides of it, and whatnot. So I just thought that was fascinating, man. And again, literally about an hour before the show, that conversation took place because I'm like, wait a minute, let me see what his take is, man.
Just real quick.
The connection is amazing. Yeah.
Just real quick, the two things I want to piggyback off of with Doc, when he's saying, those street names have come up and he's been on those streets. In my mind, as Doc is speaking, how many non-supernatural spirits has Doc passed through without knowing somebody standing there?
Wow.
Because it's like, like with the buildings in the streets, it's like, I was here. I'm still here. Like my supernatural self is still here, and Doc is traveling through, passing through these people, and it's like, wow, it's mind blowing. Because even right now in downtown Dallas, not right now, but there was a picture, and I can't remember the year, and they removed this arc, and I think it was called like the Elk Archway or something. And it was at the intersection. I don't know if it was at the time. I don't know if it was Main or Commerce or whatever they called it back then. But they literally hanged a man in the middle of downtown Dallas from this archway. But this mysterious archway got removed. It ended up at the Fair Park. And then from there on, it disappeared from history. So that's like, I had never heard that story until my grandmother had told me.
How long ago was that?
It had to be, that had to be the late 30s, 1930s. I was like, I think it was the 30s, she told me. Or something like that. I'd have to look it up to give you the proper year. So don't quote me on that. But when I saw the image of that archway and that person hanging from that archway, it had something to do with like obviously it was a wrongful, something happened and they found the guy that looked like the guy.
I mean,
in this documentary, you gotta look like him.
Right. In this documentary, they talked about the dude who tripped and fell into a white woman, and she claimed it was something else. And,
come on, man.
Now, and to Wilkes's point, that tree that
the tree in the middle of the road.
The people that were hung there, and the imagery, and then we go to you. The imagery that is showing those people standing around, like how disgusting.
Yeah, man.
You got your kid, you got a 12, a 9, a 4-year-old just standing.
I like the way he did it too, man, where he showed the smiles on their face and stuff like that. And then he showed what's above them, that was smooth.
Hey, dog, just to give you just to show you how ridiculous it is. I don't know if being Wilkes remember Jerome Bettis's running mate in college, Reggie Brooks.
Yeah.
He's from Tulsa. He's been on my show. He didn't find out about Tulsa until he got to Notre Dame.
Wow.
The affirmation of what your spiritual experience. I had the same kind of experience 4th of July weekend 2001. Me, my homeboy Stacy, my homeboy Rodney, we in East Georgia. East right outside Atlanta. You know where the chess club is, Ben? The all black chess club. It's world famous. It might not have been, if you thought about it, you'll remember.
No, he be going to the shake joints, man. He don't be
So we out there, we driving down this one road, and I used to always, I have this thing where I landmark everything in my mind. I have this thing about being lost. I don't like being lost. So wherever I'm at, I'm picking things to remember to go.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, I used to joke and be like, you know, Spider Sense say this the wrong way because I'm remembering roads and things. We make a wrong turn and we go down this one road. It was a dark road and there's nothing but these like literally like 40-foot high trees. And I'm uncomfortable. And I'm like, hey, we got to get off this road.
Yeah.
So we come up to this one thing, it's a fork in the road. I say, go down that fork. They didn't go, oh man, come on, man. You don't know where we at. I said, hey man, I'm not comfortable. We pull up to this Phillips 76 station. It's well lit, like in that Planet of the Apes movie, the recent one. Remember, I had the Planet of the Apes, the Phillips 76 was well lit. We go in there, man. We jump out my car. I was driving a K5 Blaze at the time. We jump on my ride, and I look around, and this older white man, he looks at me. He looked at my place. He said, y'all not from around here. Did you see that fork in the road? I said, yeah. He said, that's where you get back to Atlanta. I said, okay. I jump back in my ride. My man Rodney walking towards the thing. He said, I'm finna get us something to drink. I said, you never let me drink it.
No.
I started up my ride. He ran back in the car. We go back 2 years later. My cousin Chris, my first cousin, my mother's nephew, Chris, he come back home and I hire him. I say, we sit in the office. I hire him. We sit in the office. They don't know he my cousin. I turned my back on him. He walked in the office. I spent him around as me. And we laugh at the interview, just remembering the good old days. I told him where I was. He said, man, remember that morning? I said, yeah. He said, remember, I was going to give you my car. You said, no, this is a brand new truck. I should be okay. And I said, yeah. He said, I thank God you ain't taking my truck. I said, why? He said, man, where you at is a sundown town. They had already killed 3 black people in that area. We talking about 2001.
I believe it.
And I felt it. I was just,
I believe it.
Yeah.
There's still places like that.
And for me, I'm almost, I don't know how y'all feel, but I'm tired of myself saying wow, because it's not. It's
yeah. It's not a wow anymore.
In this documentary, it was regular. The stuff that he showed was.
But at the same time, we need to keep saying wow, because if we don't, it may become too. In other words, we may become numb to it, and you don't want that either.
Well, we already are, man.
I mean, I still say wow, and then of course, but there's always going to be a part of me that's like, oh, well, that's not surprising, but the wow factor is always going to be present because it's like. And it can be a wow of many things. It can be a wow that, man, we've been through this, we covered this before, or man, this is still happening, or this is just this recent, or oh man, forget about it, it just happened. I'm like, no, man, it ain't happened that long.
I don't know what you said, CJ, but Facebook don't forget.
In jail, man.
It's like women, they don't forget. They don't forget.
You be arguing about something 4 years later.
They be like, hey, Facebook be like, you remember what you said?
Right. We reviewed that post from 2029.
Right.
They tried to pop me from 2018 or 19 or something like that. Refute it next time.
Exactly.
But man, there's so much. A couple other names I want to mention. Larry Payne, killed at 18 years old.
That was new to me. I'd never heard that to this document.
Yeah. This was in Tennessee, right?
Yes, his hometown.
Yeah, his hometown of Tennessee and Memphis, right? And then when he talked about the, MLK was killed on April 4th, but when he talked about his sermon title, I did not know that, but it would have been.
They have a transcript on it, but it's not in speech form, but you can find it to read it.
Yeah.
Why America May Go to Hell.
Yeah.
Wow, if he would have been able to get that speech.
Why they may go to hell. There's still a possibility.
He might already be there.
He was hammering that home, talking about that tipping point. We've been at this tipping point over and over and over again. What are we going to do? And this was filmed Juneteenth 2018.
Yeah.
So that was before.
That's why he was able to get those marches in there.
Yeah, we definitely, as Dog just said, we're definitely at an inflection point.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I consistently say, man, we're in a situation to whereas we can fix this. We can fix this if we just get up off our behinds, right? The reason I say that is over the next 70 days, you get a chance to remove these morons who are white nationalists and these evangelical Christians, right?
Yeah.
And then you got 2 years to remove them all. People don't understand in this country, they remove civics for a reason. When they remove civics from your classroom, you don't realize the power you have. And when you realize the power you have, just look at the people who are diametrically opposed to your existence. It took them 50 years to get Roe versus Wade overturned. It took them. They were consistent. They didn't. Oh, I ain't get what I want. These single issue voters are going to be the end of your ass. I'm just letting people know.
Right.
If you only have one issue and that issue doesn't come through, there's nothing in the history of your life in which you said, "Mom, can I have the Atari 2600?" and you got it that day.
Yeah.
You might have said it in January. You ain't get it to Christmas.
Right.
Right.
So you had to be good all those months.
Yeah.
Literally, we are literally in an inflection point to whereas if we stay consistent for a decade, for the remainder of this decade, 8 years, you can get the America that you want. Otherwise, you better get you a gun.
Right.
Couple other things. Went back to the Tulsa real quick, where he talks about the bodies that were dumped, and then they built the interstate
highway over it.
Highway over it. I mean, that's
right. Bringing them in on train cars.
Yeah.
Train.
Yeah. Another fun fact. That's the purpose of Memorial Day. Memorial Day initially was set up by Africans.
Right.
May 1st, because they were mass graving Africans who helped win that war. And when the war ended, Africans came back and said, "No, we're going to do our people.
We need
right.
to be honored. Yeah, we need to honor our own."
And that's how Memorial Day was created.
Right.
And then they moved to the end of the month, took it upon themselves, and then the rest of it.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is at the end when it talked about racism, which equals prejudice, social power, and legal authority. And he said, we don't have the last two.
Right.
We never had the last two.
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, very powerful. If you have not seen this, you
must watch, must see.
It's a must see.
Telling you, I literally paused it and sent it to the group as soon as I was 9 minutes in. I was like, "Oh man, we got to talk about this one."
That was a couple times I paused it. Like, man, how much time is left?
Yeah.
Man,
I didn't refer it because we had did so many heavy things like this. I was like,
it's been a while.
I ain't want to get I was like, this is so H-rapping.
When you do shit like this, you need 6 months worth of palate cleansing.
Right. I was like,
it was heavy, man. It was heavy.
All right.
Still, I mean, even me watching it the second time, it was, oh gosh.
Yeah, but you almost got to watch it again because there was so much.
Yeah, man.
So much to unpack. So many facts. I couldn't take notes fast enough. All right, Doc, final thoughts and your rating.
Yeah, man. This is, again, like I said, it's a must see, must watch. If you hadn't checked it out, I would check it out. Refer everybody you know to check it out. You know, it's just information we have to have. You know, again, there's people out there talking about being woke, and the woke they talking about is still half sleep. Let me just put it like that.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's the kind of woke you want to be. And one of the most powerful things this dude said in this documentary was there's a difference between the law and living when you're Black in America.
Right.
And that resonates with me. I don't care what the law say. Yeah, I know the law say this.
Right.
But we got to live, you know, and there's a difference between the law and living when you're Black in America. My ratings, I was torn between 4.5 and 5, but I think again because of how well he did, I'm gonna go ahead and get his 5 mics, man. Really, you know, I think he did a fantastic job. He was unassuming. Think about some of the documentaries where we were like the guy who was doing all the talking. He's like, man, he kind of got on my nerves the first little bit and stuff like that. I didn't get none of that from this cat.
Yeah,
I thought even his audience was well received. It was different in how he did it. He did it where he was flipping back and forth to being on the scene and teaching an audience and whatnot. So I think it was fantastic. So I have to give it 5 mics.
It almost made me feel like your grandfather talking to you.
Yeah, there you go.
Sit down. Let's have this
There you go, man.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
all right. Hey, Trap.
I'm gonna start off with the rating. I'm gonna give it a 5, and then I'll tell you my final thoughts. My final thoughts is this was excellently done, and one of the things that really benefited him is this: he's an attorney. He's used to presenting something that's palatable to a
There
group
you
of people.
go. That's a good point.
When you
That's a good
when you
point.
have the ability to address somebody in this fashion, it comes off unassuming because he can't offend the jury in his
That's
legal
good point.
profession.
Good
So
point.
he was able to disseminate a message in a palatable way. And when he did that, it was easier to go down. So that's why I gave it a 5. Easy.
And I think he said that at the beginning. This is the hardest case I have to defend, or something to that degree. I think.
Yeah, he said something like that. Yeah.
So he was right. All right, Wilkes.
Yeah, I was actually in between, like actually driving home from the doctor's appointment. I was like, man, is it a 4.5 Mike? Is it 5? I mean, even though I called it, I'm like, man, this is either gonna rival Exterminate the Brutes, or it's going to maybe trump it. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but
Yeah, they neck and neck.
Yeah, definitely.
I
5
would go with
Mike.
Trump.
Me. What was that, H-Man?
I would go with Trump.
Be careful, because I can mark that and use that against you. What you just said.
Not me, though.
I'm gonna go with Trump. I can prove to you that it's these deep fakes out there. I can prove to you A-Trap has been lying to you. I got it on video.
Hey.
Who he's going with.
Hey, you might be able to convince them outside people, but my audience, they'll be like, a lot of people in my audience think I'm racist. So
Look at baby A-Trap back there peeking over Ben's shoulders right there. Y'all see it? Look at Ben.
I didn't peep that.
Mini A-Trap.
Like, yes.
Right.
But 5 mics, and even I mean, we didn't even get to the slave patrol badge. We didn't even get to all that, but
yeah, man, it's so much stuff.
Yeah, even at the end where he thanked his parents for saying that, you still gave us a chance, even when reality was peaking or bearing its ugly head. You still made sure that we got what we needed to succeed in this life, but yet you still shared and gave reality, like, hey, this is reality, but you can make this your reality.
Right.
They can exist together, so yeah, no, it was big. I enjoyed it. I have 5 mics, definitely, even though I was kind of back and forth, but I have to say 5 mics.
And think about the scene with his 2 childhood friends that were white. They talked about that basketball tournament.
We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah. You want to talk about a struggle? Do you see how that white man chin was trembling that whole time?
Oh, that's serious.
My chin was trembling. Hey, a white with it.
Yeah, that was serious right there.
Yeah,
like
that was tough, man.
That was. When I first saw that,
think about it, man. Think of how cool that dude was to try to go do it to where he wouldn't have to hurt, because he knew his partner would hurt.
Yeah, he was like, "No, we gotta go." He said, "Oh, something."
So he said, "No, something wrong with the scoreboard. We gotta go." Whatever, man.
That was
just cool, man.
That was his coach.
Yeah, that was back in 1970. I think it was 70 or 71, man.
Yeah.
And you got a teenage white kid that's looking out for a black kid like that, man.
Right. Yeah. Because that's crazy, man.
So it's a 5 across the board. I'm giving 5 too. And when Wilkes was saying, "Hey, this could rival or be better than Exterminate the Brutes," I was like, hold on now. But when I watched it, man, it was facts on top of facts on top of facts, with then interviewing people to back up the story.
Alfred.
Yeah.
Alfred, thank
and
you.
Also, I don't know if I said this name. You
got actually Catwoman bringing my shit. I ain't no Alfred.
Thank you, Selena.
Elmore Bolin. Elmore Bolin was killed in Alabama. Look that up as well, man. This documentary dived into so many different people and their families and their stories. So it was well done, and it was broken down to where you got it all in a short amount of time.
It was.
And I never heard of this guy before. So if he's working on any future projects, I'm definitely gonna be.
He may be, I mean, in high demand after this one.
Yeah, I think there's a website, who we are project, I think .com or .org.
Yeah, I hope he's working on something else. I mean, like H-Rap said, I always say, man, he doesn't sound familiar, he doesn't look familiar, but then when he says Joe Madison and Karen Hunter, I was like, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know you heard him.
Yeah.
I know you heard him.
All right. So next week is Labor Day, so there will not be an episode of the Fourcast.
So we ain't gonna work on Labor Day. No.
The week after, though, we will be reviewing Nope, the new.
Is that already on streaming service?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched it yesterday. Actually,
where is that?
Like $25, right?
But I won't be here to review it, unfortunately.
I got you.
Where'd you go?
$25.
Huh?
Would you go to watch
$25?
Yeah, it's high. I bet you know.
Hey man, I'm poor.
Where did I go? I think it's Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
Amazon Prime.
Me and Wilkes can do a watch party. Sorry, H-Rap.
Wow, $12.50 each.
Sorry, H-Rap.
Let me watch it. $25, man.
You can't call nobody.
Write it off. Write it off. It's a business expense, homeboy.
Yeah, day trading.
I'm cheating.
This fool said.
So hopefully by that time, maybe they lower the price. We got about 2 weeks. So that's what's coming up. So what's coming up tomorrow on End of the Bench?
On the End of the Bench, I have a special guest, a former classmate of mine. His name is Sean Walker. He was a committeeman in city government, and he was always a person who stayed above the fray. He's a former baseball player like I was, and he played basketball as well. But Sean was always a different breed of cat. He's going to help me. He's going to come on and he's going to talk about his latest attempt to be a state senator. And now he's getting things together for voter registration and things of that nature. Because he didn't make the ability, he didn't have the ability to get in the city government. He's not going to relinquish his attempt to make things better. And then I'm going to talk about. It's gonna be kind of like I'm gonna throw a little sports in because I'm revamping my sports thing. I'm gonna do a highlight on Jesse Owen, and I'm gonna do what's his name, Jack Johnson. Those are gonna be the videos, and then I'm gonna talk about mentality and the way we think. For years we've made this statement: a jack of all trades, a master of none. But that's a lie, and that's just somebody else's thinking. And then we've created this fictitious way of thinking, and that is, if you look at it half full, you're going to be negative, and if you look at it half empty, you're going to be, But that's not true, because everybody is triggered in different ways. When you look at a glass as half empty, that could be your cue to jump up and get to working. If you look at it half full, that could be your cue to relax and say, "Hey, I still got a quarter to go." So we must gain control of the way we see and think, and the way we see things and the way we think in order to move forward as a community. And then the second thing I'm going to address is imagery. We have been bombarded with a specific form of imagery for the last 40 years. And I'm going to address that, and hopefully addressing that can spark people to have these conversations and reduce some of the violence, because I'm going to give a different perspective.
Right.
Definitely. So no Queen 3 and King tomorrow, as well as No Marriage is Real, because it is the 3rd annual BSU Network Awards. So make sure to tune in on our YouTube channel. Let me get that graphic up right there. So the 3rd annual, we have a variety of different awards, and let me do that. A variety of different awards: Supporter of the Year, Podcast of the Year, Funniest Podcast Award, Best Intro. So we got a variety of different awards that we'll be giving out tomorrow. So make sure to tune in 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's what we have going on tomorrow night. So as we always do, we can kick it to H-Rap, close this out.
I was going to look up his name. The Oscar is actually a black man.
Really? That's who's sculpted after?
No, it was named after a black man.
Oh,
Oscar is a black man. I was going to look it up, but I couldn't think of his name. As usual, man, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. As I say every week, you need to just salute the Reggie O'Shea by saying, dream your dreams and man up and woman up and live your dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white, and life with dreams flows in technicolor surround sound. And y'all already know, man, we're in the middle of a recession. So if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
Peace. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Have a good night.
Yes.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.